Back in the 1960s, Southern Railway President Graham Claytor was once quoted as having said that it's a good thing to let another generation know what a steam locomotive is. Claytor had good reason for making such a statement. Perhaps no other invention had the impact on moving the United States forward through the Industrial Revolution as the steam engine. Phased out over time for more reliable and more energy efficient fuel sources, steam has essentially become obsolete here in the Western Hemisphere. But if you ask the residents of Manitowoc, Wisconsin, or Ludington, Michigan about the status of steam, they'll tell you that it's still alive and well. Launched in 1953, the SS Badger is the last coal-fired, steam-powered passenger vessel in North America. In this video, we're going to be exploring the history of this magnificent machine. We're going to dive right down into the details. We're even going to be able to show you the engine room and the boiler room, places the public normally can't go, to understand how she works. So come along with me. Let's go sailing. I'm your host, Drayton Blackgrove, and this is Delay in Block Productions.
The ship is like a magnet. It draws you in. It's the power of the ship, the people, and it's the places you go. The boat itself is so unique at this moment in history. It's the last of its kind. And to be a part of this history is amazing. My name is Craig. I am the night watchman here on the SS Badger in Ludington, Michigan. I visit 17 different key stations, different checkpoints. We still utilize the old key station system with a mechanical clock. There is a metal key. It looks similar to a skeleton key, but it's actually a punch card key. And it fits here in the slot, and with the twist, it punches a rotating disc which mechanically rotates with the time on the clock. This ensures that at that moment in time, all is well in that particular location. After working on the ship for only a few weeks, I gained an immediate appreciation for steam technology. To me, it's just amazing that steam itself can push giant, very heavy pistons and propel a ship, but not only propel a ship, but power an entire ship. The steam plant here on the SS Badger is powering the entire ship throughout the night, throughout the day, 24 hours, 7 days a week. The town could lose power and the ship would be lit up. And that's, to me, it's amazing. It's a floating power plant as well as a vessel, as well as a journey. It's just really an amazing piece of technology.
The Badger was the last built and is now the sole operating survivor from a fleet of ships that once carried railroad cars across Lake Michigan for nearly 100 years. These three railroads and their predecessors, the Chesapeake in Ohio, the Grand Trunk Western, and the Ann Arbor, all served important ports in Wisconsin and Michigan as a means to bypass the congested rail yards of Chicago, keeping vital supply chains in constant motion all year round.
Well, there were 7 ships operating out of Ludington when I was growing up. They were going 24 hours a day, year round. So you could hear the ships coming and going. I remember summer nights with the windows open. You could hear the ships. You could hear the railroad cars moving along the tracks. And in this particular area, it was all railroad yard. There were multiple tracks down here where they would actually bring the railroad cars in and line them up to go aboard the ship. During its peak in the early 1960s, the car ferries were carrying well over 100,000 rail cars each year. So the capacity was huge, and the crews were large. There were probably 400 people employed with the car ferries, so you can see it had a huge impact for Ludington. But this railroad, this particular yard we're standing in, was just full of railroad cars. It was railroad technology everywhere. While there was passenger service, you had to get over a lot of railroad tracks to get aboard the ships. This was the west yard. The east yard was over there, is where they staged the cars, and then they rolled them right down here aboard the ships. There were 3 slips here. This is 2. There was 1 over here and another 1 over here. It's amazing how much was here. And it's all gone now.
For 100 years, really, that link between across Lake Michigan of actual railroad cars getting loaded on and crossing and coming back each day, it was definitely a devastating, kind of wake-up call for this local community. Like any community, it adapts, and there's new ways of moving freight. It became the freeway, the interstate system, during the Eisenhower administration. So some of that was blunted, certainly, but it took the spirit of this community and many along the lake to kind of revive that in a way that we see now with the Badger, and still now passenger traffic, and still trucks, semi-trucks being loaded in smaller amounts. But so it was a difficult moment, and I think like any community, it goes through phases and adapts and reimagines itself, and here we are in the 21st century, and this community is doing the same thing with embracing tourism, embracing a historic vessel on the National Register of Historic Places to fulfill that transportation need as an extension of Highway 10, but also I think as a nod to the charm, I think, of that period of early 50s era of anything is possible, with the brass in the pilot house and the binnacle and the helm and all of it, and even just the service and the quality of the staff, I think, that take pride in maintaining this vessel. You can tell that it's an American treasure that we're lucky to still see steaming ahead.
It's keeping history alive. Every other boat that's still steaming has automated their plans to a large degree, and nobody else is burning coal. We're operating something in ways that nobody does anymore. I'd like to talk about our firemen. This is the only place that I'm aware of where we actually have paid firemen, that this is their 9-to-5 job. When they go home at night, I'm going to get up tomorrow and I'm going back to work as a fireman on a coal-fired boiler, because that's what I do 9 to 5, and it's not a hobby. Not even everybody cares about the history of the boat. They're doing it because this is their job, just like it was in the 50s. And it's really neat to be part of that and to keep that going.
I mean, you don't see that anymore. You don't see that history on the lakes anymore. And when that's gone, that will be the end of an era. I mean, this boat's been around since 1953 when it was launched, and since then it's been running the lakes back and forth between Ludington and Manitowoc and Kewanee and Milwaukee and all those areas, transporting rail cars, and it's continued to do that with its own cars. So once that steam power is gone, that's the end of an era. I mean, it will still do its job and it will still be what it is, but the steam power, I think, is what makes it special.
Over 70 years after her launch in Sturgeon Bay, the Badger not only represents the pinnacle of steam technology, but also a nearly 135-year tradition of cross-lake service between Michigan and Wisconsin. You'll be able to learn all about that tradition as we tell the story of the SS Badger in our forthcoming documentary, set for release in spring 2026. Patreon supporters will receive early access as a thank you for supporting Delay in Block. Consider becoming a patron today and visit ssbadger.com to book your Cross-Lake experience before the sailing season ends mid-October. We hope you enjoyed this preview of our most extensive documentary to date, And thank you for watching Delay in Block Productions. Happy sailing and happy railroading.